everybody. Cinephile Mike here, and today I am joined by filmmaker Misha Calvert, the writer, director, and producer behind the new short film Fault, which is having its world premiere at the Tribeca Film Festival this year. Set within the world of elite tennis, Fault explores trauma, control, and the complicated emotional dynamics between two sisters as buried truths begin to surface ahead of a major tournament. Misha, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me today.
My pleasure, Mike. Thank you for having me.
So, what does it mean to be premiering Fault at the Tribeca Festival, especially with a story this emotionally intense,
It
personal?
means everything. It's even more than I hoped it would be. Um, Festivals matter, awards matter. They bring eyes to your work. They change people's lives. And with a film like this that is centering the experience of two women and centering all women in because of that and centering victims of assault, it's so important to have a large platform. Um, just, look at what's going on in the news on this topic of abuse of power. And it's like the bigger the platform, the frickin' better. Yeah, I'm so happy.
So, the emotional pressure already built into elite tennis feels like such a natural environment for this story. Was that sport always central to the concept, or did that setting develop later as the project evolved?
Yeah, so when Coco, who plays the older sister, the one who shows up, she first came to me with the story 2.5 years ago, and tennis was not a part of it. It was something that was going on in her life, is still going on in her life, unfortunately, a situation with someone in her family, and she brought that her own truth to her sister to try and talk about it and explore, like, you know, just to get it out in the open. And the sister basically kind of denied everything, to my understanding. So that cognitive dissonance of talking about a shared experience that was bad with a family member, and then your own sister being like, nah, and like how you can process that and how to deal with that. So that was the film that she wanted to make, and I said, okay, let's make it cinematic and let's kind of remove it a little bit just from, like, it's not a documentary. Maybe we set it around tennis, and that helps us not only have a nice metaphor, like you said, with the emotional intensity and the one against one facing off competitive dynamic, but also, it's cool. Like, tennis courts are just cool looking and cinematic.
Well, and I was wondering about that because knowing that, Coco was bringing those personal elements, I wanted, and you talked about it because I really appreciated how you stayed so emotionally honest to the story that was being portrayed, but also protecting, the humanity of these characters and not, you know,
Yeah, and even so, even though we like gave them different names in a different environment than quote reality, it was still challenging to for the actors.
I'm sure.
Um, yeah, there were times, not that I ever doubted that they would pull it off, but like I could see the emotional strain on them every day on set.
And they do so much emotionally, and it's such a compressed runtime, in a 14-minute short. So, what was the collaboration and rehearsal process like when you were working with Sarah and Coco to create Steph and Gigi to get there?
Yeah, well, Coco, because she was just, it's her story. I had very little that I needed to do with her, which was so great. I mean, she would just basically walk in, and I would give her like technical, like, you missed your mark, or can you speak up, or like stuff like that. But like Coco was basically dialed in 100% of the time. Um, for Sarah Rich, who plays Steph, she was awesome to work with. She really got the gravity of what we were doing, and she never minimized it, even though it's quote just a short film. Like, I told her and Coco from the beginning, I want this to be an Oscar contender. It's got everything that it needs to do that, and I wrote it that way. Like, I wrote it with that Oscar DNA like baked in.
I agree, it's
And
there.
thank you very much. That was intentional for, for 2.5 years, it's been intentional. So Sarah was able to take that and, there's small things like, of course, it's my director's job is to like adjust the actors, but
Right.
she just took it very seriously. So it was very little adjustment needed.
So talking about that and how you said you were framing it with all these pieces, right, to put together and framing the end game. What, made you feel that short form storytelling was the right approach for this as opposed to a feature to kind of, contain this?
Yeah, well, Mike, if you have 2 million laying around, I would love to take that off your hands.
Fair enough.
I think it's for me, it's become very easy to raise 50, 60, 70,000 for a short film. And to your point, yes, I am looking to move more into feature films because those are monetizable. It's almost impossible to monetize short form in this category, but um, I think it was what we could raise easily and what we could make in a relatively short amount of time.
Fair point. And in addition to those amazing performances, and they're incredible performances,
Thank you.
I want to say Stuart Michael Thomas's his score adds so much tension and emotional momentum to the film. I want to know, what were the conversations like around finding the right musical language for something this intense and making sure it didn't overshadow?
Okay, so glad that you brought this up because I've been wondering if it overshadows like the entire time. We can sing Stewart's praises in a second, but like for you, Mike, watching it, do you feel like the music was the right amount of intense? Was it like, how did the music affect you?
It brought me right in, and I personally, and I'm one critic, I don't think it overstayed its welcome. I thought there was just the right balance, that I was like, I was getting that, I was getting story. So I felt that it walked that line very, very nice.
That's great to hear. I was deliberating up until literally like the last possible moment of sending in our film file to Tribeca. I was like still tweaking with Stuart of like, I think we need a ramp here. I think like lower volume here. So he probably wants to kill me along with our sound designer, but to his credit, it Stuart makes big music. He like worked on Mission Impossible. He worked on, I think, like one of the Batman movies. I mean, the man just makes these epic scores. And that was what he brought to the film. And as a result, there's not like wall to wall music. It's like a couple of cues that
Yeah.
hit really hard and then we're out. And yeah, like you said, that emotional intensity, so that it's like, oh, they're just playing tennis. Yeah, but the music shows us what they're feeling.
Mhm. And it helps them let it out. And talking about letting it out, in the press materials I received about the film, you talk about wanting this film to contribute to a new wave of feminism, right? The primal scream. I was really struck by that phrase because it feels less about, quiet endurance and more about refusing silence. So what does that idea mean to you creatively, and how did it shape the approach to this film?
Well, I just feel crazy most of the time when I think about what how victims are treated and how, for just one example, the Epstein files are not gonna nothing's gonna happen with them, at least not in this administration. They're unreleased, they're violating the law. The There's probably dozens of other criminals that have not been named and are not going to be investigated. We don't know because we don't have the full files. We don't, no one's looking into them. And who is named? The victims. It's so crazy making. And yeah, it just makes me want to scream. So that's it's a personal experience, and I think increasingly people are understanding that like you said, just quietly waiting it out, or you know, whatever the heck people have been doing, it's not working. So what can you do? You can scream and you can make yourself known and heard and be like, no, no, this is not okay. And then hopefully people notice.
So I have to say, I am very much appreciative of, so this was my entry into your work because I will say I haven't seen your others, but I see from IMDb you have a collection of other shorts, and I'm curious to see if I can track down some of your earlier work because I was very impressed with this one.
Thank you.
So I love to ask this question when I speak with filmmakers. It's kind of like the educational moment of the interview. Because I've been working in education for 23 years and I'm a big believer in sharing the wealth of knowledge. As you continue working on and developing projects as a writer, a director, a producer, what for you is one of your best practices that you've learned to carry with you from project to project? And what would you say is one learning curve you try not to repeat?
Mm, really good. Well, on a personal note, I try to do one very hard thing a day at the top of my day, 7 days a week. And that's just a personal worker trick to getting, you get 365 hard things done a year at that rate. So that's really changed my success rate. In terms of making films, I think like if you're an executive producer or in my case, a director slash co-exec, this goes if you're running a company too. One of your main jobs is hiring. Hiring people who are going to ideally overperformers, not underperformers. There's a lot of people who just in the world at large, like they're underperforming. And if you can, you want to find people who either, like the Stuart Michael Thomas, like our editor, like our colorist from Company 3, the sound designer from Formosa, like those guys, the post team were just over freaking performing every step of the way. Like, oh, oh my God, I love those guys. And and trying to stay away from folks who are clearly like just not gonna show up to their post.
Mhm. And one last question before I have to let you go. When audiences leave Fault, what is something you hope stays with them either emotionally or intellectually afterward?
It's really important to honor your no. That is regardless of
Love that.
gender, culture, age. If you've got a no in your body, like the letter N-O, no, honor that. Like be devoted to it because your body's trying to tell you something. Yeah.
I love that. Honor your no. I'm gonna bookmark that. Well, Misha, thank you again so much for taking the time to speak with me today, and congratulations on the world premiere of Fault at the Tribeca Festival. For everyone watching, Fault will be screening as part of Tribeca's The Competitive Edge Shorts program. All female-directed sports films will include the screening information and the links, how to get your tickets in the descriptor below. As always, if you've enjoyed this conversation, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more amazing filmmaker interviews like this, festival coverage of Tribeca and beyond, spoiler-free reviews. We're doing all the rollback reviews of this year's Oscar nominees and the award season conversation. And remember, this is Cinephile Mike telling you to take a break and watch something new. Misha, thank you so much.
Thank you, Mike.